All right, pull up a chair because this one right here, this one stayed with me. Not because it was loud, not because it was dramatic, but because it was totally preventable. And I watched it happen in real time. Let me tell you about the first time I saw a soldier ruin his financial future. And the dangerous part, he had no idea what he was doing. And if you're not careful, you might be doing the same thing right now. Now, this was early in my career. I wasn't the seasoned officer yet. I wasn't one people that would come to for answers. I, in fact, was still learning, still watching, still trying to understand how everything worked. And I met this soldier. He was sharp. He was motivated, squared away. The kind of soldier you look at and say to yourself, you know what? Yeah, this guy's going to be all right. He showed up on time, did his job well. He actually, respected the chain of command. There were no disciplinary issues, no red flags, but there was one thing about him. He loved to spend money. Not first, that doesn't sound like a big deal, because let's be honest, a lot of people in the military spend money. You get that first steady paycheck, you got that housing covered, you got that food covered, health care covered. And for the first time in your life, you feel like you've got money in your pocket. So what do people do? They upgrade their lifestyle. And that's exactly what he did. It started small, just like it always does. First it was the car, nothing crazy at first, just something nice. Then a few months later, it was a nicer car. Then came the clothes, the shoes, the watches, weekend trips, eating out, always picking up the tab for everyone. He was the life of the party. And if you didn't know any better, you'd think he was doing well. But let me ask you something. Have you ever seen somebody who looks like they've got it all together, but something just doesn't add up? Yeah, that was one of those situations, because here's what people don't see. They don't see the payments. They don't see the interest. They don't see the credit cards. They just see the lifestyle. And that lifestyle was built on debt. Now, here's where things started to shift. One day we're sitting down and the conversation turns into money, not casually, not confidently, but carefully. And when someone starts talking about money carefully, you already know something's off. And then it came out. He was drowning. Car payment was too high. Credit cards maxed out. Personal loans stacking up. And the part that hit me was how surprised he sounded. He said, I thought I could handle it. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second. I thought I could handle it. Because that's not just his story. That's a lot of people's story. See, this wasn't about one bad decision. This wasn't about a pattern of small decisions that felt harmless in the moment, but stacked up together, they created pressure. And pressure always shows up eventually. Now, here's what made the situation serious, folks. It wasn't just about money anymore. It started affecting his options. And this is where most people don't connect the dots. Because when your money is tied up, your life is tied up. He couldn't move freely. He couldn't make certain decisions. He couldn't take opportunities. And why, you might ask? Because everything he earned was already spoken for. Now, let me pause right here, folks, because this is important. If your money is already spoken for, you don't have freedom. You have obligations, and those are not the same thing. Now, as I sat there listening to him pontificate, I realized something. Nobody had ever taught him how to manage money. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't irresponsible. He was just untrained. And that's more common than people think. The military teach you how to shoot, train you to lead, train you to follow orders. But when it comes to money, heck, you're on your own. And if you don't figure it out early, listen to me, if you don't figure it out early, you'll learn the hard way. Now, here's the part that most people miss, okay? He wasn't broke because he didn't make enough money. No. He was broke because of how he used it. Because income does not equal wealth, folks. You can make good money, a lot of money, and still be stuck. And that's exactly what happened. Now imagine this. Every month your paycheck comes in, and before you even touch it, it's gone. Poof. Why? You got your car payment, you got your credit cards, loans, bills, and what's left? Almost nothing. That's not a money problem. Nope, that's not a money problem. That's a structure problem. That's a structure problem. And structure is what determines your future. Now, I remember walking away from that conversation thinking to myself, this is how it happens. But not with one big, huge mistake, but with a series of total or little bit or small ones, small decisions that feel normal at the time until one day they're not. So let me ask you something, folks. Where are you in this story? Are you building freedom or are you building pressure? Because both of those start the same way. Small decisions, but they end up very differently. One gives you options. The other takes them away. And the difference between the two is awareness. Understanding what your money is doing before it starts controlling you, because once it controls you, it's harder to get out. Not impossible, but certainly harder. And that's why I'm telling you this story, because I don't want you to learn this the hard way. I want you to see it coming. I want you to recognize the pattern before it becomes your reality, because it starts small. It always does. And so there you have it. I hope this has been helpful. This is the Adjutant, and I'll see you in the next one. I wish you all blessings and blessings. Shalom.